My name is Diana, I'm 52 years old, and I'm drowning on dry land. The pill dissolves on my tongue like chalk mixed with poison. My vision splits into 3 separate boats, 3 separate oceans, 3 versions of my daughter standing over me with that smile I don't recognize anymore. The yacht rocks beneath my feet, or maybe that's just my legs giving out. I can't tell the difference between the waves and my own body betraying me. Mom, you okay? Marlowe's voice sounds like it's coming through water. The seasickness should pass soon. Seasickness. That's what she called it. But my husband Rick collapses against the railing beside me, and his hand shoots out to grip mine so hard I feel bones grinding. His eyes are wild with terror, pupils blown wide, and he forces words through lips that barely move. Don't close your eyes. His voice cracks on every syllable. Diana, whatever you do, stay awake. My knees buckle. The deck rushes up to meet my face, but I catch myself on the bench, splinters digging into my palms. Through the blur, I see Marlowe move across the boat with purpose. Not panic. Purpose. She's not calling for help. She's not reaching for her phone to dial 911. She's walking to our bags, unzipping the leather travel case Rick packed this morning, pulling out papers and rifling through them like she's shopping for groceries. The sun sits fat and red on the horizon, bleeding into the ocean. Golden hour, they call it. The time when everything looks beautiful in photographs. I'm watching my only child, the girl I carried for 9 months, the baby I nursed through colic and fever, and she's humming. Actually humming while her father and I fight to stay conscious. Rick's grip on my hand loosens. His head lolls to the side. Rick. I try to scream, but it comes out as a whisper. Rick, please. Marlowe pulls out her phone. Her back is to us, but I hear every word crystal clear, like my ears are the only part of me still working. Yeah, it's done, she says, voice light and casual. I gave them both pills 20 minutes ago. They'll be out completely in another 10. A pause. Then a laugh. An actual laugh. No, trust me. By the time anyone finds them, it'll look like Dad had too much whiskey and took the boat out drunk. Mom tried to save him. Tragic anniversary accident. The insurance alone is worth $3 million. The world tilts sideways. I'm on the deck now, wooden planks pressed against my cheek. Salt water spray hits my face, or maybe those are tears. I can't feel anything below my neck anymore. Just my heartbeat, hammering so hard I think it might break through my ribs. Marlowe ends the call and turns around. She sees me watching her, and for a moment, just a moment, something flickers across her face. Not guilt. Not love. Recognition, maybe. Like she's acknowledging a problem she needs to solve. She walks toward me, and in her hand, she's holding something white and thick. Rope. She's holding rope, and my 33-year-old daughter, my baby girl, is looking at me like I'm already dead. Before you hear what happens next, I need you to do something for me. If this story is making your stomach drop, if you're already feeling that cold sweat on your neck, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because trust me, you need to hear how this ends. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because I want to know I'm not alone in this. That someone out there is listening to what I'm about to tell you. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare actually started. 6 hours earlier. 6 hours before I understood that my daughter wanted me dead. The morning broke soft and perfect over Charleston Harbor. Rick woke me up with coffee and that crooked smile that made me fall in love with him 30 years ago. Our anniversary. 3 decades of marriage, and he still remembered I take 2 sugars, no cream. Ready for your surprise? He asked, kissing my forehead. I wasn't ready. God, I wasn't ready for any of it. Marlowe showed up at our house at noon wearing white linen and expensive sunglasses, looking like she stepped out of a magazine. My daughter was always beautiful. Tall like her father, sharp cheekbones like my mother, but something else entirely in her eyes. Something I told myself was ambition. Drive. Success. Happy anniversary you too, she said, hugging us both. Her perfume was new. Something floral and cloying that stuck in my throat. I rented a yacht for the day. Sunset cruise, champagne, the whole thing. Just the 3 of us. Rick's face lit up. "Marlo, you didn't have to do this." "Of course I did." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It never did anymore. You raised me. You sacrificed everything for me. This is the least I can do." The drive to the marina felt normal. Too normal. Marlo talked about her medical residency, about the long hours at the hospital, about a research grant she was applying for. I watched her in the rearview mirror, this stranger wearing my daughter's face, and something whispered wrong, wrong, wrong in the back of my mind. I ignored it. Like I'd been ignoring things for years. The yacht was beautiful. 40 feet of gleaming white fiberglass and teak wood, bobbing gentle in the slip. Marlo had packed everything. Champagne in a silver bucket. Chocolate-covered strawberries. A picnic basket with all our favorite foods. She thought of everything. That should have been my first clue. "No, Captain?" Rick asked as we boarded. "I got my boating license last month," Marlo said, already moving to the controls. "Wanted to surprise you. Plus, I thought it'd be nice. Just family. No strangers. No witnesses," my brain supplied. But I pushed the thought away because that was crazy. This was our daughter. Our Marlo. The girl who used to make us breakfast in bed on Sundays, who called every week without fail, who sent flowers on every birthday. An hour into the cruise, when we were far enough from shore that land was just a thin line on the horizon, Marlo came down from the helm. The sun was starting its descent, painting everything gold and orange. Beautiful. Everything was so beautiful. "You both look a little green," she said, reaching into her bag. "Here, take these. They're prescription-strength motion sickness pills. Better than Dramamine." Rick took his without question. He trusted her completely. Always had. But when she handed me mine, I hesitated. Just for a second. The pill sat in her palm, small and white and innocent, and her eyes locked onto mine. "Mom," she said softly, "don't you trust me?" That's when I should have said no. That's when I should have thrown the pill overboard and demanded she take us back to shore. But she was my daughter. My only child. The person I loved more than my own life. So I took the pill. I swallowed it dry. And I signed our death warrant. The memories come in fragments now, like a film reel with half the frames missing. Maybe it's the drug still working through my system. Maybe it's my brain protecting me from the full weight of what I refuse to see. Marlo was 6 when she killed her first pet. A goldfish named Bubbles that won at the county fair. I found it on her bedroom floor, gasping and flopping, deliberately left out of its bowl. When I asked her what happened, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "I wanted to see how long it could breathe without water." She was experimenting, I told myself. Curious. Smart kids do things like that. When she was 12, her best friend Emma stopped coming over. Emma's mother called me one afternoon, voice tight and uncomfortable, saying maybe the girls needed space. Later, I heard through the neighborhood gossip that Emma had accused Marlo of stealing from her, of spreading rumors that destroyed Emma's reputation at school. Emma's family moved away that summer. Emma was always jealous of me, Marlo explained when I asked. She couldn't handle that I was smarter, prettier, more popular. She made up lies to hurt me. I believed her. God help me, I believed her every time. High school brought straight A's and Ivy League acceptance letters. It also brought a boyfriend named Tyler who showed up at our house one night with a split lip and fear in his eyes. He wanted to talk to Rick alone. They went into the garage for 20 minutes. When they came out, Rick looked shaken, and Tyler was gone. I asked what happened. "Nothing," Rick said. "Just teenage drama. Tyler's transferring schools. It's better this way." I found out years later, after everything fell apart, that Tyler had threatened to go to the police. He had proof that Marlo had been forging prescriptions using her volunteer access at the local clinic. Small stuff at first. Anxiety medication. Sleep aids. Then harder things. Tyler wanted out of the relationship, and Marlo told him if he left, she'd make sure he went down for the thefts instead. Rick paid Tyler's family $50,000 to make it disappear. He never told me. Not until we were lying on that boat deck, poison coursing through our veins, and he was confessing all the things he'd hidden to protect our daughter. We sold our family business to pay for Marlowe's medical school. Rick's father had built that construction company from nothing, and we liquidated everything for her education. $270,000 for tuition, housing, books. We downsized from our family home to a 2-bedroom condo. Rick took a job managing a hardware store. I went back to nursing part-time, working night shifts at the emergency room. "You're giving me the life I deserve," Marlowe said when she got her acceptance letter to Johns Hopkins. "I'll make you proud. I promise." We were proud. So proud we didn't notice the other things. The way she talked about her patients like they were inconvenient obstacles. The time her roommate filed a police report claiming Marlowe had poisoned her coffee, then mysteriously dropped the charges. The research supervisor who died in a car accident after threatening to expose Marlowe's falsified data. Red flags don't look red when you're seeing them through rose-colored glasses. Someone told me that once. I don't remember who. But they were right. Every warning sign looked like ambition to us. Every accusation looked like jealousy. 3 months ago, Marlowe started asking questions about our finances. How much was the condo worth? Did we have life insurance? What were the beneficiary arrangements? We thought she was being responsible, planning for our future care. Making sure we'd be okay in our old age. "You two worked so hard for me," she said over dinner at that expensive restaurant she insisted on paying for. "I want to make sure you're taken care of. You deserve to retire comfortably." The week before our anniversary, Rick updated our will. Marlowe was the sole beneficiary. Everything we owned, including the life insurance policies we'd taken out when she was born. $3 million total. It seemed like too much, but Marlowe convinced us it was necessary. "Medical school debt is crushing," she explained. "And you want me to be able to focus on helping people, right? Not worrying about money." We signed the papers. Rick's hand shook a little as he wrote his name. I remember that now. I remember thinking he looked pale, uncertain. But I didn't ask why. I never asked why. The pill takes full effect 30 minutes after swallowing. I know this now because I'm a nurse, and because somewhere in my dissolving consciousness, I recognize the symptoms. Benzodiazepine overdose mixed with something else. Something stronger. Marlowe would know the exact combination. She's been studying pharmacology for years. My daughter, the doctor. My daughter, the murderer. The words feel impossible in the same sentence, but here we are. Here I am, lying on the deck of a yacht 3 miles from shore, watching her kneel beside her father's unconscious body and check his pulse with clinical detachment. She looks at me. Really looks at me. And I see nothing in her eyes. No love. No regret. No humanity at all. Just cold calculation. "You should have just closed your eyes, Mom," she says softly. "This would be easier if you weren't awake." Then she picks up the rope, and my world goes completely black. I'm choking on seawater and my own screams. No, wait. I'm not screaming. My mouth won't work. Nothing works except my eyes, and they're showing me things I don't want to see. Things I'll never be able to unsee. Marlowe has tied Rick's hands behind his back. My husband, the gentlest man I've ever known, is bound like an animal while our daughter arranges his body against the railing. She's positioning him carefully, like she's setting up a photograph. Making sure the angles look right for whatever story she's planning to tell. I try to move. My fingers twitch. That's all. Just a twitch, but it's something. The drug is strong, but I'm stronger. I have to be stronger. I have to save him. Save us. Save something from this nightmare. The thing about boating accidents, Marlowe says, talking to herself or maybe to us, I can't tell anymore, is that they're incredibly common. Especially when alcohol is involved. She pulls a bottle of whiskey from somewhere, expensive stuff Rick would never drink, and pours it over his shirt. The smell hits me like a fist. Husband gets drunk on his anniversary. Takes the boat out too far. Wife tries to stop him. They struggle. Both go overboard. She's narrating our deaths like it's a bedtime story. My vision swims. The sky is purple now, deepening to black. Stars are coming out one by one, and I think about how romantic this would be under different circumstances. Anniversary cruise. Sunset. My husband and daughter. This was supposed to be perfect. This was supposed to be love. Marlowe's phone buzzes. She checks it, and her face twists into something ugly. Are you kidding me? She mutters. Now? He wants to renegotiate now. She types furiously, thumbs moving fast. No, the insurance payout is $3 million, you get your cut like we agreed. Yeah, I know there's risk. That's why you're getting $500,000 for keeping your mouth shut. $500,000. She's splitting my life insurance with some accomplice. Selling her parents' lives like used furniture. Rick stirs. Just barely. His eyelids flutter. For a second, I think he might wake up, might fight back, might save us both. But then Marlowe sees it too, and she moves fast. She grabs another pill from her pocket, forces his mouth open, shoves it down his throat. Sorry, Daddy, she whispers. But I can't have you waking up yet. Not until we're done. Done. What does done mean? I'm about to find out, because she's turning to me now, and in her hand is a syringe. Clear liquid inside. Something worse than pills. Something final. You were always the stronger one, she says, kneeling beside me. Dad would believe anything I told him, but you? You always had that look in your eyes. Like you were trying to figure me out. Like you knew something was wrong but couldn't quite name it. She taps the syringe, pushes out an air bubble. Professional. Perfect. Exactly how I taught her when she was learning to give injections. Well, now you know. And honestly, Mom, it's almost a relief. I'm so tired of pretending to be your perfect daughter. The needle comes toward my arm. I try to scream, try to move, try to do anything. My hand lifts an inch off the deck. That's all I manage. 1 inch between me and death. Then I hear it. A sound that doesn't belong. A deep, mechanical rumble cutting through the quiet ocean night. Boat engines. Big ones. Coming closer. Marlowe freezes. The syringe hovers over my skin. Her head whips toward the sound, and I see something I've never seen before on my daughter's face. Pure, unfiltered fear. No, she breathes. No, 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 that's not possible. We're miles from the shipping lanes. There's no one out here. But someone is out here. The rumble gets louder. Closer. And through my blurred vision, I see lights cutting through the darkness. Bright white searchlights sweeping across the water. Getting closer. Getting closer. Getting so close I can see the words painted on the bow. United States Coast Guard. Marlowe drops the syringe. It rolls across the deck, clear liquid spilling. She's on her feet, smoothing her hair, wiping her face, transforming in seconds from murderer to concerned daughter. The mask slides back on so fast it makes my head spin. Help! She screams toward the approaching vessel. Please help. My parents are sick. I think they ate something bad. Please, we need medical attention. Her voice cracks with perfect emotion. Tears stream down her face on command. If I wasn't lying here paralyzed, if I hadn't just watched her plan our murders, I would believe her. Anyone would believe her. She's that good. The Coast Guard boat pulls alongside. Men in uniform are shouting questions. Marlowe is answering, voice shaking, explaining about the sudden illness, the vomiting, the collapse. She's painting herself as the hero. The frightened daughter trying desperately to save her parents. And I can't speak. Can't move. Can't tell them the truth. The drug has stolen my voice, and my daughter is about to steal everything else. Someone is climbing aboard our yacht. Heavy boots on the deck. Radio chatter. Medical terms I recognize from my years as a nurse. But my lips won't form words. My tongue is dead weight in my mouth. Rick's hand twitches near mine. Just barely. Just enough for our fingers to touch. And in that touch, I feel everything he can't say. The apology. The love. The desperate hope that somehow, someone will see through our daughter's lies. The Coast Guard officer kneels beside me, checking my pulse, shining a light in my eyes. Professional. Efficient. Following protocol. He calls out numbers to his partner. Heart rate. Blood pressure. Pupil dilation. Possible overdose, he says. Could be accidental poisoning, could be intentional. We need to get them to shore immediately. Overdose. Marlowe's voice climbs higher. What? No, they don't do drugs. They're the most responsible people I know. She's so convincing. So perfectly, horribly convincing. And as they load me onto a stretcher, as they prepare to transport us to the Coast Guard vessel, I see Marlowe's face one more time. She's looking right at me. The mask slips for just a second. Just long enough for me to see the calculation happening behind her eyes. She's already planning her next move. Already figuring out how to finish what she started. And I'm helpless to stop her. Hold on. Before I tell you whether I lived or died, whether Rick made it, whether our daughter got away with it, I need to know something. Are you still with me? Is this story making your heart race? Because if it is, if you're invested in what happens next, do me a favor. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to this channel. This story gets darker before it gets lighter, and you need to hear the end. You need to know what happens when your own blood turns against you. The hospital lights are too bright. Everything is too bright. Sounds come in waves, filtered through cotton and static. Voices arguing. Machines beeping. Someone crying. I think the crying is me, but I can't be sure. My body isn't mine anymore. It's a borrowed thing, a puppet with cut strings. BP is stabilizing, someone says. Push another round of fluids. We need to flush whatever's in her system. The husband. Still unconscious. We're running a full talk screen, but it's going to take time. Time. How much time did we lose? How much time do we have left? The questions swirl in my head, but my mouth still won't work. The drug is releasing its grip slowly, like a predator that knows its prey isn't going anywhere. Through the blur, I see Marlowe. She's in the corner of the emergency room, talking to a doctor. Her face is red and puffy from crying. Real tears, or fake ones. I can't tell anymore. Maybe she's so good at lying that even her tears don't know the difference between truth and fiction. I don't understand what happened, she's saying. We were having such a beautiful day. They seemed fine, and then suddenly they both collapsed. Do you think it was food poisoning? Or maybe carbon monoxide from the boat engine? The doctor nods, taking notes. We'll know more once the labs come back. Your mother is starting to regain consciousness, which is a good sign. Your father is stable, but still unresponsive. Can you think of anything unusual they ate or drank today? Just the picnic I packed. Sandwiches, fruit, champagne. All fresh, nothing that would make them sick. Her voice cracks. Oh God, what if I accidentally poisoned them? What if something in the food was contaminated? She's already building her defense. Already constructing a narrative where she's the victim too. Accidental poisoning. Tragic mistake. Not murder. Never murder. A nurse touches my arm, and I flinch. Or try to. My body manages a tremor, which is more than I could do an hour ago. Progress. Slow, agonizing progress back to myself. Diana, can you hear me? The nurse leans close. I'm Rebecca. You're in Charleston Memorial Hospital. You're safe now. Can you squeeze my hand if you understand? I focus every particle of strength I have left into my right hand. My fingers curl. Just barely. Just enough. Good, Rebecca says. That's really good. You're doing great. Don't try to talk yet. Your throat might be sore from the tube we had down earlier. Just rest. Let the medicine work. But I can't rest. Rick is somewhere in this hospital, still unconscious. Marlowe is 10 feet away, convincing everyone she's the concerned daughter instead of the monster who tried to kill us. And I'm the only one who knows the truth, trapped in a body that won't obey me. My eyes find Marlowe again. She's pulled out her phone, texting someone. Her thumbs move quickly, urgently. Then she looks up, directly at me, and our gazes lock. For a moment, just a moment, the mask drops completely. I see cold fury in her eyes. Rage that I'm still alive. Calculation about how to fix this problem. Then she smiles. Soft. Sad. Loving. And she walks over to my bed. "Oh, Mom," she whispers, taking my limp hand in hers. "You scared me so much. I thought I lost you. I thought I lost both of you." Her voice is thick with emotion. To anyone listening, she sounds like a devoted daughter. "The doctor says you're going to be okay. You just need to rest and let your body heal." Her grip on my hand tightens. Not gentle anymore. Hard enough to hurt. Hard enough to bruise. A warning. "I know you can hear me," she continues, voice so low only I can catch it. "I know you're in there trying to figure out what to do. But here's the thing, Mom. Even if you could talk right now, who would believe you? I'm a medical resident. A respected member of the community. You're a confused old woman who nearly drowned. The drugs in your system? They'll just think you and Dad were experimenting with something you shouldn't have. Midlife crisis. Anniversary celebration gone wrong." She strokes my hair, gentle and loving for the cameras, the nurses, the doctor still watching us. "And if you do try to tell anyone what really happened," she whispers, "I'll make sure Dad doesn't wake up at all. They have him on so many medications right now. It would be so easy to adjust and drip. One small mistake. One tiny error. And you'll be a widow planning a funeral instead of a wife celebrating an anniversary." My heart monitor spikes. Beeping faster. The nurse looks over, concerned, but Marlo waves her away. "She's just overwhelmed," Marlo says. "Seeing me makes her emotional. It's okay, I've got her." No. She doesn't have me. She has my body, my silence, my helplessness. But she doesn't have me. Not the part that matters. Not the part that's still fighting. Rebecca returns with a syringe. "This will help you rest," she tells me kindly. "You need sleep to heal properly." More drugs. More chemicals flooding my system. More time trapped in this nightmare. I try to shake my head, try to refuse, but my body won't cooperate. The needle slides into my foreport. Cool liquid rushes through my veins. And the last thing I see before the darkness takes me again is Marlo's face, smiling down at me with empty eyes. When I wake up, hours or days later, I can't tell, Rick's hand is in mine. Real this time. Warm and alive and squeezing back when I squeeze his fingers. Relief crashes through me so hard I start crying, real tears that I can finally feel running down my face. "Diana." His voice is rough, broken. "Oh God, Diana. You're awake." I turn my head. The movement is slow, painful, but it's movement. Rick is in the bed next to mine. His eyes are red from crying or drugs or both. But he's awake. He's alive. We both are. "I know," he whispers. "I know what she did. I heard her on the boat before I passed out. I heard everything." Hope flares in my chest. He knows. We both know. Together, we can stop her. Together, we can tell the truth and make someone listen. But then I see his face fully. See the fear there. The defeat. And I understand before he says the words. "The detective was already here," Rick says. "While you were sleeping. Marlo told them we've been struggling with depression. That we've talked about suicide pacts. She showed them fake journal entries, forged texts between us discussing it. She's been planning this for months, Diana. Maybe years. And she's thought of everything." The walls close in. The room gets smaller. Darker. We survived the boat. We survived the drugs. But did we really survive anything at all? The thing about being trapped in your own body is that your mind becomes a prison too. Every thought loops back to the same impossible question. How do you fight someone who's turned your entire life into evidence against you? Rick and I spend 3 days in the hospital, getting stronger while our daughter builds her case. The police come and go. Detectives with kind eyes and careful questions. They want to understand what happened on that boat. They want to help. But every time I open my mouth to tell them the truth, Marlo is there, hovering like a guardian angel, ready to explain away my confusion. Mom's been so stressed lately, she tells Detective Morrison, a woman with gray hair and a notepad. She lost her job at the hospital 6 months ago. Budget cuts. It really affected her self-worth. Lie. I left that job by choice to spend more time with Rick. And Dad's business failure hit them hard financially, Marlo continues, dabbing her eyes. They've been talking about feeling like burdens. Like maybe we'd all be better off if they weren't around. Lie. We downsized happily to pay for her education. We never once regretted it. Detective Morrison looks at me with pity. That's worse than suspicion. Pity means she's already decided I'm a victim of my own mental illness instead of my daughter's greed. Mrs. Chun, she says gently, is there anything you want to tell me? Anything at all? Yes. Everything. My daughter drugged us. She tried to kill us. She's been planning our murder for months. The words form perfectly in my mind, but when I speak, they come out twisted. Marlo saved us, I hear myself say. She called for help. No. That's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted to say. But Marlo is standing behind the detective, and her hand is on her phone, and I can see the screen. A photo of Rick's hospital room. His 4-bag. A reminder of how easy it would be for her to finish what she started. Detective Morrison nods sadly. I understand this is difficult. Take your time recovering. We'll be in touch if we need anything else. She leaves. Marlo waits until the door closes, then turns to me with a smile that could freeze blood. You're learning, she says. That's good. Keep it up, and maybe you both get to live after all. That night, I can't sleep. The hospital is quiet except for the beeping monitors and hushed conversations of nurses changing shifts. Rick is asleep in the bed next to mine, sedated with medication Marlo personally requested. For his anxiety, she told the doctor. To help him rest. I stare at the ceiling and count the tiles. 42 across. 36 down. Math keeps my mind busy. Keeps me from screaming. The door opens. I tense, expecting Marlo, but it's just Rebecca, the nurse who's been taking care of me. She checks my vitals, adjusts my pillows, gives me that practiced smile healthcare workers perfect over years of dealing with broken people. Can't sleep? She asks softly. I shake my head. Understandable. You've been through a trauma. She glances at Rick's bed, then back at me. Your daughter really loves you both. She's been here every single day, barely leaves your side. You raised a good one. The irony nearly makes me laugh. Or cry. I can't tell which anymore. Rebecca moves to adjust my fore, and that's when I see it. The small bruise on her inner arm, partially hidden by her sleeve. Fresh. Maybe a day old. And next to it, a tiny puncture mark that doesn't match a normal blood draw. My nurse instincts kick in before my traumatized brain catches up. That's not a medical bruise. That's an injection site. Unprofessional angle. Wrong location. Someone who knew enough about medicine to be dangerous, but not enough to be careful. Rebecca, I whisper, did my daughter give you something? Her smile falters. Just for a second. What? No, of course not. Why would you ask that? But her hand moves to cover her arm. Defensive. Hiding something. And I understand with horrible clarity what Marlo has done. She hasn't just been building a case against us. She's been buying silence. Or loyalty. Or both. How much did she pay you? I ask. Rebecca's face goes pale. Mrs. Chun, I think you need more rest. You're confused. I'm not confused. My daughter is a murderer, and you're helping her. The words hang in the air between us. Rebecca looks at the door, then at me, then at the floor. When she speaks again, her voice is barely audible. I have student loans, she whispers. $60,000. I'm barely making minimum payments. Your daughter said she'd pay them off. All of them. I just had to make sure you and your husband stayed comfortable. Stayed medicated. Stayed quiet until you were released. Tears stream down her face. I didn't know what she was planning on the boat. I swear I didn't know. She told me it was about protecting you from yourselves. that you were suicidal and needed help. My heart breaks for this girl. This young nurse who thought she was helping, who got manipulated by someone even better at lying than I realized. You can still do the right thing, I tell her. You can tell the police the truth. Rebecca wipes her eyes. And say what? That I took money from a patient's family member? I'd lose my license. Go to jail. And for what? There's no proof. She paid me in cash. There's nothing connecting us except my word against hers. She straightens up, composing herself. I'm sorry. I really am. But I can't help you. I have to think about my own future. She leaves quickly, and I'm alone again with the truth. Marlowe has thought of everything. Every angle. Every witness. Every possible way we could fight back, she's already blocked. Rick stirs in his sleep. His hand reaches out, searching for mine across the gap between our beds. I stretch as far as my 4 tubes allow and manage to brush his fingers with my own. I'm here, I whisper. I'm still here. But for how long? That's the question keeping me awake. Marlowe hasn't given up. She's just regrouping, planning her next move. And this time, she won't make mistakes. This time, she'll make absolutely certain we don't survive. The emergency exit sign glows red in the darkness. An escape route. A way out. But where would we go? How would we run when our own daughter has turned our entire world into a trap? I close my eyes and pray for the first time in years. Not to be saved. I'm past believing in miracles. I pray for strength. For clarity. For the chance to stop Marlowe before she destroys anyone else. The monitor beeps steady rhythm beside me. My heart, still beating. Still fighting. Still refusing to give up even when every rational part of me knows we've already lost. Tomorrow they're releasing us from the hospital. Tomorrow we go home with our daughter, the doctor, the perfect child we created. Tomorrow we walk willingly back into the nightmare because there's nowhere else to go. And God help us both. They discharge us on a Tuesday morning. Sunshine and birdsong, like the world doesn't know it's sending us home to die. Marlowe brings fresh clothes and helps us dress like we're children who need guidance. Rick's hands shake so badly he can't button his own shirt. I pretend it's from the drugs still working through his system, but we both know it's fear. Pure, animal fear of our own daughter. I'm taking you back to my place, Marlowe announces while signing discharge papers. You need someone to monitor your recovery. Make sure you're eating properly, taking your medications, processing the trauma. Her place. Not our condo. Her apartment across town where no neighbors know us, where no one will hear us scream, where she can finish what she started without witnesses. We'd rather go home, Rick says quietly. Marlowe's smile never wavers. Dad, you almost died. Both of you did. The doctors recommended supervised care for at least 2 weeks. I'm a medical professional. I can provide that care. It's already decided. It's not a suggestion. It's a decree. And we have no choice but to obey. The drive to her apartment takes 40 minutes through Charleston traffic. Marlowe chatters the entire time about her hospital rotations, about difficult patients, about a surgery she observed. Normal daughter conversation. But I hear the subtext underneath. She's telling us how many ways she knows to hurt people without leaving evidence. How many medications can cause fatal reactions when mixed incorrectly. How easy it is to make murder look like natural causes. Her apartment is modern and sterile. All white walls and minimalist furniture. No photos. No personal touches. No warmth. It looks exactly like what it is, a showroom for someone who's pretending to be human. Guest room is down the hall, she says, leading us to a bedroom that feels more like a cell. One window with locks on the outside. One door that doesn't have a handle on the interior side. I had it specially modified for patient care. Safety features. You understand. We understand perfectly. We're prisoners. Rick sits on the bed, head in his hands. I want to comfort him, but I'm drowning in my own despair. 3 days ago, we were celebrating 30 years of marriage. Now we're locked in our daughter's apartment, waiting to die. Marlo brings lunch on a tray. Soup and sandwiches that smell delicious and look perfect. Neither of us touches the food. You need to eat, she says pleasantly. Keep your strength up. Is it poisoned? I ask. Might as well be direct. She laughs. Actually laughs. Mom, if I wanted you dead right now, you'd be dead. The hospital was full of opportunities. This. She gestures at the food. This is just lunch. I need you both healthy for a few more weeks. There are things that need to be arranged first. What things? Rick asks. Marlo sits in the chair across from us, crossing her legs like she's conducting a business meeting. Well, for starters, I need you to sign some updated paperwork. Transfer of assets, mostly. Your condo needs to be sold, the proceeds deposited in an account I can access for your ongoing care. Your retirement funds need to be restructured. Small details like that. You want us to give you everything while we're still alive, I say. I want to streamline the process, she corrects. Think about it practically. When you two eventually pass, whether that's next month or next year, there will be legal complications. Probate. Taxes. Delays. This way is cleaner. Easier. And honestly, you owe me. Those 3 words land like punches. You owe me. We gave you everything, Rick says, voice breaking. Our business. Our savings. Our home. What more could you possibly want? Marlo's face transforms. The mask cracks, and something ugly crawls out from underneath. Rage. Years of it. Decades. Festering in places we never saw. You gave me expectations, she hisses. You gave me pressure and judgment and impossible standards. Do you know what it's like being your daughter? Being Diana and Rick Chen's perfect little genius? I couldn't breathe without you analyzing it. Couldn't make a mistake without you dissecting where I went wrong. You didn't give me a childhood, you gave me a performance. And now you act like victims because I'm collecting payment for all those years of smiling through your controlling bullshit. The words hit harder than any physical blow. Because buried in her lies, there's a grain of truth. We did have high expectations. We did push her toward excellence. But we thought that was love. We thought we were preparing her for success. We're sorry, I whisper. If we hurt you, if we made you feel trapped, I'm so sorry. But this, Marlo, this isn't the answer. This is just creating more pain. Pain. She stands abruptly. You want to talk about pain? Let me tell you about pain, Mother. Pain is being 12 years old and hearing your parents discuss selling me to the highest bidder. Oh, they called it ensuring my future through strategic marriage, but I knew what it meant. You were already planning to trade me like property. That's not true, Rick says. We never. Yes, you did. Marlo screams. I heard you. In the kitchen, talking about how my marriage could secure our family's social standing. How if I found the right husband, someone wealthy and connected, it would solve all our financial problems. You used me before I even understood what being used meant. I rack my memory, searching for the conversation she's describing. And then I find it. 10 years ago. Rick and I were stressed about money, joking darkly about arranged marriages like in old movies. Sarcasm and gallows humor. We never meant it. But Marlo heard. And she didn't understand it was a joke. She internalized it as truth. Sweetheart, we were kidding, I say desperately. It was a stupid joke. We never, ever would have forced you into anything. Doesn't matter, Marlo says coldly. Damage was done. And you kept doing damage. Year after year. Controlling my friends, my choices, my entire life. So yes, I'm taking what's mine. What I earned through 28 years of being your perfect puppet. She walks to the door, then pauses. The papers will be ready tomorrow. You'll sign them. And then we'll see how things progress from there. The door closes. The lock clicks. And Rick and I are alone in our daughter's carefully constructed prison. She's insane, Rick breathes. Our daughter is completely insane. But she's not. That's the horrible truth. Marlo is perfectly sane. She's just been hurt and twisted by misunderstandings and resentment until she became something monstrous. And we helped create that monster without ever realizing what we were doing. I take Rick's hand. We have to get out of here. How? The window's locked. The door doesn't open from inside. She's thought of everything. She's thought of almost everything, I correct. But she's still 28 years old. And we're still her parents. We know things about her she doesn't realize we know. Rick looks at me with desperate hope. Like what? I think back through decades of raising Marlo. Every tantrum. Every rebellion. Every small act of defiance. And I remember something crucial. Something she probably forgot we witnessed. When she was 16, I say slowly, she got locked out on the balcony at her friend's house. Remember? She called us, panicking. But before we could get there, she'd already broken back inside. She never told us how. She picked the lock, Rick says, understanding dawning. With a bobby pin. I saw her practicing once in her room. She got good at it. Which means she assumes everyone else is terrible at it, I finish. She wouldn't bother with expensive locks on this room because she thinks we're helpless. But I'm a nurse, Rick. I've worked in psychiatric wards with actual security doors. And you're an engineer. Between us, we can figure out one apartment door. It's not much. It's barely a plan at all. But it's something. And something is more than we had 5 minutes ago. We wait until we hear Marlo leave for her night shift at the hospital. The apartment goes quiet. Then we go to work. The lock on our prison door is simple. Bedroom privacy lock. The kind that costs $15 at any hardware store. Marlo's arrogance assumed we'd never try to escape, so she didn't bother with anything sophisticated. Rick uses the wire from his eyeglasses. I use a hairpin I've been hiding in my sock since the hospital. Together, working in the dark with shaking hands, we manipulate the mechanism. It takes an hour. My fingers cramp. Rick's breathing gets ragged with stress. But finally, blessedly, the lock clicks. The door swings open into darkness. We stand there for a full minute, not believing it worked. Then Rick grabs my hand and we move through the apartment like ghosts. Every creak of the floorboards sounds like thunder. Every shadow looks like Marlo waiting to catch us. Her laptop sits open on the kitchen counter. Careless. Or maybe she thought we'd never get this far. I wake the screen, expecting a password, but she's still logged in. Another moment of arrogance that's about to cost her everything. What are you looking for? Rick whispers. Proof, I say, fingers flying across the keyboard. Something we can take to the police that they can't ignore. I open her email. Hundreds of messages. I search for keywords, insurance, money, parents. And there it is. An entire folder labeled, Project Clear. I click it open and my blood turns to ice. Emails to a lawyer about contesting our will if we didn't die cleanly. Messages to an insurance investigator confirming policy details. A detailed timeline of our murders, planned out over 6 months. Photos of medications she'd been stealing from the hospital pharmacy. Research on untraceable poisons. Draft obituaries she'd already written. But the worst part? The emails to someone named Jason. Her accomplice. The person she was talking to on the boat. And in these messages, Marlo doesn't just discuss killing us. She brags about it. Jokes about it. Talks about how stupid we were for never suspecting. How easy we made it for her. She's proud of this, Rick says, reading over my shoulder. She's actually proud of planning our murders. I'm downloading everything to a flash drive I found in her desk drawer when I see the calendar alert. Dad's sedation adjustment, 3 a.m. That's in 4 hours. She's coming home to drug Rick again. To keep him compliant. Maybe to start finishing what she left undone. We need to go now, I say. Police station. Show them everything. End this tonight. We're halfway to the apartment door when we hear keys in the lock. She's home early. We freeze, trapped in the open living room with nowhere to hide and no time to run. The door opens. Marlo steps inside wearing scrubs, hospital badge still clipped to her pocket. She sees us immediately. Sees the open laptop. Sees the flash drive in my hand. And her face goes absolutely blank. "You couldn't just cooperate," she says quietly. "You couldn't just make this easy." Rick steps in front of me. Protective. Futile. "Marlo, please. We have evidence now. We have everything. You can still stop this. You can still choose to be the person we raised you to be." She laughs. High and brittle. "The person you raised me to be? Dad, the person you raised me to be is standing right here. This is your daughter. Your creation. Congratulations." She pulls something from her pocket. Not a gun. Worse. A syringe. Pre-filled. Ready. She's been carrying it around, waiting for an opportunity. "I really didn't want to do it this way," Marlo says, moving toward us. "I wanted it to look natural. Peaceful. But you forced my hand. So now it's going to be a murder-suicide. Tragic outcome from your deteriorating mental health. You attacked me in my own home. I defended myself. One of you died. The other was so distraught they took their own life. Clean. Simple. Believable." She lunges forward. Rick grapples with her, trying to grab the syringe. They crash into the coffee table. Glass shatters. Marlo is screaming, and I'm screaming, and everything is chaos and violence. The syringe goes flying. Slides across the floor. I dive for it, but Marlo is faster. She has it in her hand, uncapping it, bringing it toward Rick's neck. He's pinned beneath her. Helpless. About to die right in front of me. I grab the nearest thing I can find. A glass paperweight from her bookshelf. Heavy. Solid. I don't think. I just swing. The impact makes a sound I'll hear in my nightmares forever. Marlo crumples. The syringe falls from her hand, plunges into her own thigh, and the liquid empties into her bloodstream. Whatever cocktail she mixed to kill us is now inside her instead. She looks up at me, eyes wide with shock. "Mom," she whispers. "What did you do?" Rick scrambles away from her, breathing hard. We both stare at our daughter as she starts seizing. As the drugs take effect. As the murder weapon she created becomes her own execution. "Call 911, I tell Rick. My voice sounds like it's coming from someone else. Someone capable of watching their child die without falling apart. But Rick is already on the phone. Already giving the address. Already explaining that there's been an accident. That we need an ambulance immediately. That our daughter has overdosed. Marlo's seizures slow. Her breathing becomes shallow. And for just a moment, just a heartbeat, her eyes clear. She looks at me with something that might be recognition. Might be regret. Might be nothing at all. "I just wanted you to see me," she whispers. "Really see me." Then her eyes close. And I don't know if she's unconscious or dead, but I find I can't cry either way. I've run out of tears for the daughter I thought I knew. The girl who never really existed. Sirens wail in the distance, getting closer. Rick holds me while we wait. We don't speak. There's nothing left to say. We just stand there in the wreckage of our family, surrounded by broken glass and shattered love, and wait for someone to come save us from the nightmare we created. The emergency room is different when you're the ones who caused the emergency. Nurses avoid eye contact. Police officers watch our every move. We're not victims anymore. We're suspects. Maybe criminals. Maybe monsters who hurt their own child. Detective Morrison arrives while doctors work on Marlo behind a curtain. Her face is harder than before. Suspicious where it was once sympathetic. "Talk me through what happened," she says, pen poised over her notepad. Rick and I tell her everything. The boat. The drugging. The murder plot. The escape from Marlo's apartment. The confrontation. The syringe. All of it comes tumbling out in a desperate rush to make anyone believe us. Morrison listens without expression. When we finish, she's quiet for a long moment. "That's quite a story," she finally says. "It's the truth," I insist. Check her laptop. We downloaded everything. 6 months of evidence. Emails. Plans. She documented everything. We will check, Morrison agrees. But right now, Mrs. Chun, I need you to understand how this looks. Your daughter is unconscious, possibly dying. You admit to hitting her with a heavy object. You were found in her apartment, which she claims you'd been staying in voluntarily for medical care. And you're telling me an elaborate story about murder plots that sounds, frankly, like something from a movie. Because it's true. Rick's voice cracks. Check the emails. Check her phone. It's all there. A doctor emerges from behind the curtain. Young, exhausted, covered in Marlowe's blood. She's stable, he announces. The overdose wasn't fatal, though it would have been if we'd gotten here 5 minutes later. She's sedated now, but she'll make a full recovery. Relief and horror twist together in my chest. My daughter is alive. My daughter who tried to kill us is alive. Can she talk? Morrison asks. Not for several hours. Maybe not until tomorrow. She needs rest. Morrison nods, then turns back to us. I'm taking you both to the station. We need formal statements. And I need to secure that laptop as evidence. Are we under arrest? I ask. Not yet. But don't leave town. The police station is exactly like on TV. Cold metal chairs. Fluorescent lights. Coffee that tastes like sadness. Rick and I sit in separate rooms, giving separate statements to separate detectives. They're looking for inconsistencies. Ways our stories don't match. Proof that we're lying. But we're not lying. And 6 hours later, when they finally finish combing through Marlowe's laptop, when they read every email and every text and every detailed plan for our murders, Detective Morrison's face changes. She comes into my interview room looking like she's aged 10 years. Mrs. Chun, she says quietly, I owe you an apology. We found everything. The insurance fraud. The accomplice. The pharmacy thefts. Your daughter has been planning this for at least 8 months. There are even older files suggesting she's been fantasizing about it for years. The vindication feels hollow. Empty. We were right. We told the truth. But it doesn't change what happened. Doesn't erase the fact that our daughter wanted us dead. What happens now? I ask. She'll be arrested as soon as she's medically cleared. Murder conspiracy. Attempted murder. Insurance fraud. Multiple counts. She's looking at 20 to 30 years minimum. 30 years. Marlowe will be nearly 60 when she gets out. If she gets out. Her whole life, destroyed by choices she made and resentments she nursed until they became poison. Did we do this? I whisper. Did we make her like this? Morrison sits across from me. I've been a detective for 19 years. I've seen a lot of family crimes. And here's what I've learned. Sometimes people are just broken. Sometimes they choose darkness even when they're given light. You raised a child. You did your best. What she became. That's on her, not you. But it doesn't feel that way. It feels like failure. Like we missed signs we should have caught. Like we loved her wrong, or not enough, or too much in the wrong ways. Rick and I leave the station as the sun comes up. We've been awake for 36 hours. We smell like fear and old coffee. We have nowhere to go because we can't go back to our condo, can't go back to Marlowe's apartment, can't go back to any version of our lives that existed before we understood what our daughter really was. Hotel. Rick suggests weakly. Sure, I say. Hotel. We check into a daze inn near the highway. 2 double beds and a view of the parking lot. Rick falls asleep immediately, but I can't. I sit by the window and watch the sunrise paint the sky pink and gold. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Mrs. Chun. A man's voice. Young. Nervous. This is Jason. I need to talk to you about Marlowe. The accomplice. The person who was supposed to help her cover up our murders. What do you want? I ask coldly. To tell you I'm sorry, he says. And to explain. Marlowe told me you two were abusive. that she needed help escaping a dangerous situation. She showed me fake bruises, fake medical records. I thought I was helping a victim. I didn't know until yesterday when I saw the news that she was lying. That she's the dangerous one. Why are you calling me? Because I'm turning myself in. And because you deserve to know that not everyone who helped her did it out of greed. Some of us were just manipulated. Just fooled by someone very good at lying. He hangs up before I can respond. I sit there holding the phone, thinking about how many people Marlo fooled. How many lives she touched with her poison. Rebecca the nurse. Jason the accomplice. Her parents who loved her. All of us, dancing to strings we didn't know she was pulling. Rick wakes up around noon. We order room service. Eat in silence. Eventually, we have to talk about the future. About what comes next. About how we rebuild lives that our daughter tried to destroy. I think we need therapy, Rick says finally. A lot of therapy. Yeah, I agree. Probably years of it. And we need to sell the condo. Move somewhere new. Start over completely. Can we start over after something like this? He takes my hand. Squeezes it. We survived, Diana. Against every odd, we survived. That has to count for something. Maybe it does. Maybe survival is enough. Maybe that's all we get. 6 months later, Rick and I stand in a courtroom in Charleston wearing our best clothes and carrying the weight of everything we've lost. Marlo sits at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit. She's lost weight. Her hair is shorter. She looks younger somehow. Smaller. Like the years have fallen away and I'm looking at my teenage daughter again. The girl I thought I knew. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Prosecutors presented every email, every text, every detail of her murder plot. Her defense argued temporary insanity. Claimed we drove her to it through years of psychological abuse. They painted us as controlling monsters who destroyed our daughter's mental health. Some people believed them. I saw it in the jury's faces. Sympathy for the young doctor who cracked under pressure. Doubt about the parents who seemed so perfect on the surface. Maybe we were the real villains in this story. But the evidence was overwhelming. And when Jason testified, when Rebecca testified, when the toxicology reports and insurance fraud documentation piled up, the jury stopped looking at us with doubt. They started looking at Marlo with horror. The verdict came back yesterday. Guilty on all counts. And now we're here for sentencing. The judge is a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and eyes that have seen too much human evil. She reviews the case file. Reads the victim impact statements Rick and I submitted. Looks at Marlo with something like sadness. Miss Chun, she says, I've presided over many cases in my career. I've seen people driven to terrible acts by poverty, by addiction, by circumstances beyond their control. Your case is different. You had every advantage. Loving parents. Excellent education. A promising future. And you chose to destroy it all out of what appears to be nothing more than spite and greed. Marlo doesn't react. Just sits there, blank-faced. Empty. The court sentences you to 25 years in state prison without possibility of parole for 15 years. Additionally, you are ordered to pay full restitution to your parents for all financial damages incurred. 25 years. Marlo will be 53 when she gets out. An entire lifetime gone. As they lead her away, she turns and looks at me one last time. Her mouth moves. I can't hear the words, but I can read her lips. I'm sorry, Mom. Maybe she means it. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's still manipulating, still lying, still playing whatever game she's been playing since she was old enough to understand that love could be weaponized. I don't acknowledge her. Don't nod. Don't cry. I just watch as my daughter disappears through a door into a future she chose for herself. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm us. Microphones and cameras and shouted questions. How do you feel? Do you forgive her? What would you say to other families dealing with similar situations? Rick and I push through without commenting. We learned early on that nothing we say will ever be enough. We'll always be the parents who either loved too much or not enough. Who either saw the signs or willfully ignored them. Who either created a monster or failed to stop one. We drive in silence to our new home. A small cottage in the mountains of North Carolina, 300 miles from Charleston and a lifetime away from everything we knew. We bought it with what little money we had left after legal fees and hospital bills. It's quiet here. Peaceful. No one knows our story. Rick makes tea. I sit on the porch and watch the sun set over the mountains. This is our life now. Simple. Careful. Haunted by the daughter-shaped hole in our family. Do you think she can be rehabilitated? Rick asks, joining me on the porch. I don't know, I answer honestly. I don't know if what's broken in her can be fixed. Or if it was always there, waiting to crack open. We sit in comfortable silence. After 30 years of marriage, we don't always need words. We've been through hell together. We survived our own daughter trying to murder us. If that doesn't bond two people forever, nothing will. My phone buzzes. Email from a producers at a major streaming service. They want to option our story. Turn it into a documentary series. Offer more money than we've seen in years. I delete it without responding. Our tragedy isn't entertainment. Our pain isn't content. But I do open my laptop. And I start writing. Not for money. Not for fame. But because someone needs to tell the truth about what happens when love goes wrong. When the people we create become strangers. When family becomes the most dangerous place on earth. I write about warning signs we missed. Red flags we explained away. The difference between high expectations and emotional abuse. I write about how loving someone doesn't mean enabling them. How setting boundaries is an act of love, not cruelty. How sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is say no. Over the next few months, I turn our story into a book. A real one. Not sensationalized. Not dramatized. Just the truth, raw and painful and hopefully useful to someone else who might be living with a monster they haven't recognized yet. The book publishes under a pseudonym. I don't want fame. Don't want recognition. I just want to matter. Want this nightmare to have purpose beyond our suffering. It becomes a bestseller. Parenting groups discuss it. Therapists recommend it. Survivor forums dissect it. And slowly, carefully, messages start arriving from people who saw themselves in our story. Who recognized their own children in Marlowe's red flags. Who got help before it was too late. One message stands out. A mother from Oregon who read our story and immediately took her son to a psychiatrist. Turns out he'd been displaying early signs of antisocial personality disorder. With intervention, with proper treatment, with boundaries and consequences and love that wasn't blind, he's getting better. She thanks me for potentially saving her life. For giving her permission to see the truth about her child. That message makes everything worthwhile. Every painful memory. Every night I wake up gasping from nightmares about boats and pills and my daughter's empty eyes. If our story saves even one person, then maybe it wasn't all for nothing. Rick and I are sitting on our porch one evening, a year after the trial, when we see a car pull up our long driveway. We tense immediately. Old trauma. But it's just a woman in her 30s, holding flowers. I'm sorry to intrude, she says nervously. I'm sorry to intrude, she says nervously. My name is Sarah. I read your book. I wanted to thank you in person. Rick and I exchange glances. We've kept our location private, but somehow, people still find us. Usually, we turn them away. But something about this woman's face stops me. She looks like she's been through fire and barely made it out alive. Would you like some tea? I offer. We sit on the porch, three strangers bonded by pain we didn't choose. Sarah tells us about her brother. How he seemed perfect on the surface. How he manipulated their entire family for years. How he almost succeeded in killing their parents for inheritance money. But Sarah saw our story on the news during Marlowe's trial. Recognized the patterns. Got her parents to safety just in time. He's in prison now, she says, tears streaming down her face. And I feel so guilty for being relieved. For being glad my own brother is locked away. Does that make me a monster? No, I tell her, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. It makes you a survivor. It makes you someone who chose truth over comfortable lies. That's not monstrous. That's brave. We talk until the sun sets. Sarah leaves with hugs and promises to stay in touch. Rick and I watch her drive away, and I realize something fundamental has shifted inside me. For months, I've been drowning in guilt, replaying every moment of Marlowe's childhood, searching for the exact second we failed her. The precise mistake that turned our daughter into someone capable of murder. But talking to Sarah, hearing her story, understanding that this happens to other families, good families, loving families, I finally accept the truth Detective Morrison told me a year ago. Some people are just broken. Some darkness can't be loved away. And sometimes, the most important thing parents can do is recognize when their child is beyond their ability to save. When professional help is needed. When boundaries aren't cruelty but survival. We didn't create Marlowe's darkness. We just failed to see it clearly enough to stop it before it consumed everything. That's our failure. Not that we loved her wrong, but that we loved her blindly. I think I'm ready, Rick says quietly beside me. Ready for what? To visit her. I haven't seen Marlowe since the sentencing. Haven't answered her letters from prison. Haven't accepted her collect calls. I wasn't ready to face her. Wasn't ready to risk being manipulated again. But Rick is right. We can't move forward while still running from the past. 2 weeks later, we drive to the correctional facility 3 hours south. The visiting room is gray and depressing. Armed guards. Metal detectors. The smell of industrial cleaner trying to mask something worse. Marlowe walks in wearing prison clothes. She's gained back some weight. Looks healthier, actually. Prison structure suits her somehow. Or maybe it's the medication they finally put her on after the psych evaluation. She sits across from us, separated by plexiglass. Picks up the phone. Waits for me to pick up mine. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Her voice is different. Softer. More genuine. Or maybe I'm just desperately wanting to hear genuine emotion from my daughter one more time. How are you? Rick asks, because what else do you say? Okay, actually. They have me in therapy 3 times a week. Group sessions twice a week. I'm on mood stabilizers. And I'm working in the prison library. She pauses. I read your book. My stomach drops. And you were right. About everything. The therapist helped me see it. I was angry for so long, I turned that anger into justification for horrible things. I convinced myself you deserved it. That I was the victim. But you weren't perfect parents, and I wasn't a perfect daughter, and somewhere along the way, I stopped trying to be human at all. I want to believe her. God, I want to believe her so badly. But I've been fooled before. What do you want from us, Marlowe? I ask directly. She flinches like I've hit her. Nothing. I don't want anything. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to understand why I did it. Trying to become someone who wouldn't do it again. Not for you. For me. We talk for 30 minutes. Awkward. Painful. But real. More real than any conversation we've had in years. When our time is up, Marlowe stands to leave, then turns back. I loved you both, she says. I know I had a terrible way of showing it. I know I destroyed that love completely. But it was there once. It was real once. Before I broke everything. I just wanted you to know that. Then she's gone, led away by a guard. Rick and I sit in the parking lot for an hour afterward, not speaking. Processing. Grieving the daughter we had and the one we'll never get back. Do you think she meant it? Rick finally asks. I think she meant some of it, I say carefully. But I also think Marlowe is very good at believing her own lies. At convincing herself of whatever narrative serves her best in the moment. Maybe she's genuinely trying to change. Maybe she's just learned a new manipulation strategy. I don't know if I'll ever know for sure. So what do? I start the car. We keep living. We keep healing. We visit her occasionally if we can handle it. We hope she finds some kind of redemption. But we don't sacrifice our peace for her salvation. We learned that lesson. Finally. The drive home is quiet but not uncomfortable. We've been through the worst thing imaginable. We've survived our own daughter's attempt to murder us. We've testified against her. Watched her get sentenced. And now we're learning to exist in a world where she's both our child and our would-be killer. It's not the ending I wanted when I started this story. There's no dramatic redemption. No tearful reunion where everything is forgiven and forgotten. No neat bow tying up all the pain into something meaningful and beautiful. But it's real. It's honest. And maybe that's the most important lesson of all. If you've been watching this whole story, if you've stayed with me through every horrible moment, I want to thank you. And I want to ask you something. Drop a comment below. Tell me if you've ever dealt with someone in your life who hurt you despite you loving them. Tell me how you survived it. Tell me your story, because sharing these painful truths is how we stop feeling alone in the darkness. I'll read every single comment. I promise you that. Because if our nightmare can help even one person recognize their own dangerous situation, if it can save even one life, then maybe everything we went through had purpose. Rick and I pull up to our cottage as the sun sets behind the mountains. We're not the same people we were 18 months ago. We're scarred. Wiser. Sadder. But we're alive. We're together. And we're finally learning that survival isn't about returning to who you were before trauma. It's about becoming someone new who can carry the weight of what happened and still find moments of joy. We'll never have the family we dreamed of. We'll never get back the daughter we thought we knew. But we have each other. We have our truth. We have a future that isn't dictated by someone else's hatred. And sometimes, on quiet evenings like this one, when the mountains turn purple in the twilight and the air smells like pine and possibility, I remember that I'm 53 years old. I survived a murder plot. I testified against my own child. I rebuilt a life from ashes. And I'm still here. Still fighting. Still believing that even the most broken stories can teach us something valuable about love, loss, and the courage it takes to set boundaries with the people who hurt us most. That's not the ending I wanted. But it's the ending I've earned. And for now, in this moment on this porch, with my husband beside me and peace surrounding us, that's enough.